What's up, fight fans? Welcome back to the 10 Count, and I'm your host, Joe Dirty 618. And on the 10 Count, we like to spotlight the next generation of boxing talent. Today, getting inside the ring with us is not a fighter, but a coach, a very skilled coach that brings the best out of all of his fighters, none other than Coach Alex. So before we bring him out, let's watch him do a little work with some of his guys. All right, Coach Alex, thank you for coming to the 10 Count,
No
man.
problem.
Thanks for getting in the ring with
Thank
me.
you for having me. Thank
No
you for
problem,
having me.
man. So on the 10 Count, we asked 10 questions. So I'm going to hit you with 10 questions that may or may not be some bonus questions when we're done with that. You good with that?
I'm good with that.
All right,
Let's do
Coach.
it.
All right, so first question, what do you look for in fighters when you decide to take them under the wing? Do you have like a checklist that you go through, or you just take them and then you work with them and you get them how you want to get them?
I would say usually I look at their discipline and their consistency, because a lot of guys come in here, talking a lot of talk, saying, oh, this and that, and then the consistency and the discipline doesn't show, or it doesn't back up what they're saying. So I look for that. The consistency is a big part of it, because a lot of these guys like to come in here, they work out as hard as they can, and they try to replace consistency with intensity. So they try to make the workout as intense as possible to make up for the lack of consistency that they've been, So I look for consistency because it's a very repetitive sport. You're doing the same thing over and over and over and over, and it does get tiring, and it does get a little, I wouldn't say boring, because I love boxing. I can never get boring to me, but to the other people that are, doing the same thing repetitively,
Right.
it can get boring, So that's one of the biggest, discipline and consistency, honestly.
Gotcha. So I'll tell you, man, I play sports. I play football, track and field, basketball, baseball. Boxing is by far the hardest thing I ever did. Like, by far. I mean, you could train for months and just looking for just an inch of getting better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it may not come. Like, it may come 6 months later. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you can't rush. You got to be patient in it, and you got to be dedicated to it. But it is hard, man. You don't have a team to rely on. It's just you.
Yeah.
It's just you. You all you got, man.
Yeah.
So my next question is, how would you describe your coaching style?
My coaching style, I feel is on the technical side, very technical. I would even call my boxing style a hybrid between the Mexican style and the American slick fighters. So I like to incorporate a lot of footwork. I always tell my guys, and they know, you can ask them, one of my biggest keys is footwork. I like maintaining the distance, using your footwork to get it in and out. Like they say, slow feet don't eat. So you have to be quick on your feet. You have to be able to maintain that distance, that invisible line, So I would say a mixture of Mexican style and a little bit of American slick boxing style is what I would say I'm mostly my style. Best way to describe my style.
I can see that too, because all your fighters, they do have that good footwork.
Appreciate
but
that.
They're all tough too. They'll sit there and throw them hands if they got to.
Yes, sir.
But I'll tell you this, man, I've seen a lot of coaches, you know, I've loved boxing. I've been watching it since I was a little kid. With most coaches, you can see their style in every fighter they have. Your fighters aren't like that. Like, you got a set of twins that fight and they don't even fight the same. It's like everybody got their own style. How do you do that? Like, I mean, because you're not like a cookie cutter type of coach. Like, it's not, this is how we do it. Like, how do you get that out of every different fighter and that style that they bring?
I feel every fighter is different, you know, so every fighter has a style that they have set already, and you just have to work with their strengths and, you know, and their weaknesses, kind of work on those too. So they all start off, you know, I throw a little bit of my style into what they have, but I always work with what they got to give me. You know what I mean? If I see someone is more of a brawler, I'm not gonna force them to box and be slick, you know. There's some people that are just not programmed that way, or you know, you can't get someone that's not athletic at all and completely switch them up and, you know, expect him to be super athletic when it's just not, you know, part of who he is. So you kind of have to take that style, work with it, and, you know, add a little of what you got. Like in my case, some footwork, throw some footwork in there, some defense, you know, and then just go from there and try not to force your style on somebody, because you know, your style, you know, and how you expect someone to fight might not be comfortable for somebody, you know, might not be what, you know, what their abilities are, you know. I feel like that's why if you look at my nickname, God Gifted, I feel like God gifted everyone with certain gifts, you know. You can't expect you know, an elephant to climb a tree, something that they really can't do, you know. So I can't expect, you have to be realistic and take what you got, you know, and kind of just mold from there. So yeah, that's
a great answer, man.
Appreciate it.
It's a great answer, and I've always wanted to let you know that I see that. Like, it's, I don't want to say it's strange, but it's unique for sure. That you can see, like, you got like twins. They're identical twins, and they got two different fighting styles.
Different,
And you brung that out. So I'm like, man, you would expect the same thing from them. But
I like what you said. I like what you said. They're not all the, you know, copy and paste. You know,
it's not cookie cutter around here, and that's unique, man. And you don't see that in gyms. If you go to certain gyms, you see one style. Like, if the head coach, head coach's style is the style. That's it. It's no different. Everybody fights the same, but you don't do that here. So you're looking for a good coach. Shout out. Reach out to Coach Alex. You know what I'm saying?
1017. You could also find my YouTube page on YouTube. God Gifted 1017. If you guys want to follow me on, subscribe on.
All right, Coach. So my next question is, what's been the biggest challenge coaching amateur boxing?
The biggest challenge, honestly, is trying to see a lot of robberies, a lot of favoritism, a lot of. There's a lot of judges that see fights differently. You know, I'm not gonna say one judge is right, the other judge is wrong, you know, because at the end of the day, it is boxing. You know, and boxing, it even happens in the pros where one judge sees it completely opposite of another judge. So in the amateurs, you see that a lot. And not only just as far as like what judges see, it's also a little bit of favoritism, in my opinion. A lot of gyms are very, how would you say it? They know other people, or they're used to, you know, common people that they kind of lean towards the decision of. But I feel that is one of the biggest things, is robberies in the sport of boxing. It's very unmotivating to some of the guys that they, you know, put in a ton of work day in and day out, and then for them to just get completely, you know, robbed. It's one of the biggest things. And then I always just try to, you know, uplift them, letting them know that it's part of the, you know, it's part of the sport, you know. But the amateurs is just trial and error. It's just about
all
experience, you know.
They're all lessons. They don't even matter when you turn.
They really don't.
Yeah. So my next question, in your opinion, what separates a good amateur fighter from a great amateur fighter? Like, what is the difference between the two?
The difference between a good and a great amateur fighter is the work that they put in when no one's looking outside of the gym. You know, you can come in here and do what I tell you to do and follow the drills, do everything, but what you do outside, how you keep your body clean, how you go for your runs, you know, that's gonna separate you from the normal, from the good and the great. Is that the discipline you have outside when, you know, I don't have to be nagging you to, hey, have you gone for a run? Hey. And I'll know if you've gone for a run or not, because on the mitts, I can tell, you know, I could feel the power slowly start going down and the punches are not as crisp, you know. Right. So I feel the outside work outside from the gym is what sets a fighter apart.
Yeah, I have a saying I tell to my kids all the time. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And you can go to practice and do practice all you want, but if you want to be average, that's all you're going to be if that's the way you go. If you want to be better, you got to do more work outside of that.
Exactly.
And it's not just work, it's also your nutrition. You got to eat right too, you know? So I totally feel what you're saying. It makes total sense to me. Hopefully it reached the right person. You know what I'm saying? Pay attention.
Yes, sir.
All right, so my next question, Coach, is what part of the training or development are you most proud of when it comes to your fighters?
I like to see, you know, the skills that we're practicing, you know, the drills, all the stuff all the work we've been putting in. I like to see it in the canvas, you know, to be put together. Once I see, you know, the defense or certain moves that we've been working on and they pull it off in sparring, that's a beautiful thing to see. You know, if we've been practicing some footwork, kick steps, you know, angles, and, you know, the fighter is doing it while sparring and it's coming out naturally and it's coming out, you know, that's huge to me. You know, that's what I really honestly like to see. Like the stuff that we practice get put into work. You know, because if we're practicing some stuff and you're not even putting it in, you know, you're not getting better, you're not actually getting the full effect of putting it, you know, in a fight. Because we can practice it all day in drills, but it's a different thing to actually use it in a fight. And I always
coming at you.
Exactly. Different. And I always tell the guys, it's one thing, you know, when you're sparring and you know you're a level above somebody, work on something else that you don't normally work on, you know, like the kick steps, the angles, you know you got someone that has slow feet, work on those angles, you know, work on something different every time. So that is huge. It's huge.
Yeah. All right. So how do you know when a fighter is ready to go from amateurs to the pro ranks?
I feel the maturity inside the ring, you know, the composure that they're able to keep. If they're able to keep up with some professionals and actually give me solid rounds, you know, is a big, you know, it lets you know that someone's ready, especially that boxing IQ. You know, boxing is a very dangerous sport.
Yes.
And it's a lot going on. But if a guy's able to keep their composure, and especially with someone that has that experience already, and he's able to keep up and, you know, is giving them that good work,
right.
I'll know when a fighter's ready. A lot of the people like to say, you know, go open or do this but you know, boxing is an evolving sport. You know, there's a lot of fighters that barely had any amateur fights, you know.
True.
So it's a given is that being able to, you know, the maturity in the ring, you know, giving solid rounds of sparring, you know, showing the IQ in the ring, being able to keep up with someone that I know has, you know, experience on the guy, and he's able to, you know, with Alex, able to keep up with someone, Golden Gloves, you know, hold their own, you know. It's a good show of, like, the ring IQ and the maturity in the ring, so.
Gotcha. So next question, follow-up question to that is, what changes do you make, like, to technique or to style when going from amateurs to pro, or do you make any changes?
Oh yeah, honestly, amateur and professional style is like night and day. It's very, very different. Amateur style is just a lot of points, a lot of activity, a lot of movement. And with the pro style, it's a little bit less movement, but being a little bit more intentional with the movement. You're not moving as much, but you're being intentional with the movements, being able to, carry the energy all the way, to the round. So it's a little bit slower pace, more technical, more thinking involved. Amateur is just kind of points.
Right.
They get points on you, you try to get those points right back. Always in control of the fight. With professional style, I feel like it's a little bit more slow pace. You have to have some sort of some method. There's method to the madness.
Right.
Like I'd like to say, if I'm going 12 rounds as a pro, I would start off with number one, establishing the jab in the first couple rounds, and then number two, start taking the jab away from your opponent, and then you slowly start to, walk the opponent down and start imposing your, offense on the guy, and then slowly start breaking them down. So yeah, it's very different between amateur and pro.
I could tell you think about this. Like,
Oh, yeah.
a very deep thought you just had.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Coach, what's something most people don't see, not inside the gym, that really matters on fight night?
Something that people don't see inside the ring that really matters in fight night is, I feel, the mentality. Mentality, I feel, is a huge part in the sport. You can lose the fight before the bell even rings. As far as mentality, if you go in there with a mentality of, you second guess your training, you start putting doubt in what you've done. You could be your own worst enemy. You could be your hero, you could be your villain. So I feel that mentality plays a huge part in this sport, and it's something that people don't really talk about, or they don't let you know what the mentality that you need to have coming in, getting in the ring. It's not easy. Respect, hats off to anyone that's willing to step in the ring. So
Yeah.
it's something not spoken enough about, and it's something that's huge.
Yeah. Major respect to anybody that gets inside that ring. I wish it was like mandatory for everybody to get in the ring, because a lot of people think they can just jump in here and do this. It's not easy.
It's not.
Like, you can see it on TV and you can talk about what you would have did, but it's different when you're in the ring, man.
Yeah. No, yeah.
So as a coach, what's the most rewarding part of your job?
Honestly, the growth in the fighters and the people that I train, watching them go from not being able to throw a punch to, giving me crazy combinations, putting everything we've worked on in display. That's honestly the most rewarding part about it. I don't really care about the belts or I have love for the sport. So I like to see the growth, bringing someone from zero to, having their first amateur fight, even to just something simple as just sparring, having them reach their goal and helping them reach their goal is huge. It's huge to me. And honestly, that brings more satisfaction to me than anything else. It's just, being able to see my work in display, put all together, and knowing that hey, that's me, I created that, I helped with that, so I like it.
I bet that's a great feeling.
Oh, it is,
I
man.
bet that's a
It
great
is.
feeling.
It is.
Yeah. All right, Coach, so I have a couple bonus questions for you.
Let's hear them.
All right, so
Let's get it.
what is the number one tip that you would give any fighter that's starting off? Just that's thinking about becoming a boxer, or they just started boxing? What's the number one tip that you would give them?
Stay consistent and be patient, honestly. Stay consistent, be patient, and just, stick with that discipline. Because, like you said, you have to have patience for this game. It doesn't happen from one night to another, It might seem simple to some people as, I could throw a punch, but there's a lot more to it, So
Definitely.
those things for sure would be a big tip,
All right, so my last question. Who you got in the mega fight? Canelo, Crawford.
Oh,
Tell me who you got and why.
man, this is. I like this question. Honestly, I have Crawford winning by points, by I feel unanimous decision. Only because Canelo's footwork has been slowing down, and he's missing an ability of cutting off the ring. He showed that with Ruslan Lara. He showed that in his last fight against School. You know, it's been other fights where, even with Mayweather, you know, it's his ability to cut the ring off. It's a little lacking.
Yeah.
He does have really good footwork. Head movement. But I feel like cutting the ring off is one of his biggest struggles, and he gets a little frustrated when opponent's not there to get hit. You know, so I feel Crawford has the skills. I feel he has the IQ and the youth. Even though, I think they're about the same age.
Yeah, he's up there. If not, he's close.
Yeah,
he's definitely close. He's been fighting a while.
Yeah, he's also old, but still, I feel Crawford's the fresher guy. You know, so I have Crawford by points, unanimous decision. You know, but you can never count Canelo out, man. He has that power that can change a fight.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, I can see it going either way, man. Honestly, I can see it going either way.
It's gonna be a hell of a fight. That's all I know.
I think if Crawford try to sit there and brawl with him, then he might not win that.
Nope.
But if he boxes him, I think he got a good shot of winning that fight.
I agree.
But I guess we'll see.
We'll find out.
All right, Coach. Thanks for getting in the ring with me, man. I appreciate that.
Antoine.
Good luck to you and the guys this weekend, man. I will be there to support you guys. Hopefully,
that.
I can get a after-fight interview with you and your guys, man.
That would be amazing. And you guys, make sure you guys subscribe and follow Antoine. He's gonna be doing a lot more, boxing content. You'll see more of me too. So,
yes, sir.
Hope you guys like the video.
All right. So that's a wrap on today's round. Remember, every champion starts somewhere, and we may just interview the next coach of the next great champion. If you know anybody that needs to be on this spotlight, tag them below. Let them know. All right. So as always, keep your hands high and your hustle higher.
Let's go.
We out.